a multi-millionaire who made his fortune by being a relatable everyman has become one of the most reviled men in America.
Welcome to Knowllywood. Today, we will dive deeply into one of the most tragic moments of Hollywood. Have you ever wondered what happens when Hollywood stardom collides head-on with real-life consequences? It's easy to think of classic film icons and modern superstars as larger-than-life figures. But some of the most famous names in entertainment found themselves behind bars, sometimes for reasons more scandalous than their screen roles. From early 20th century personalities who broke taboos and rattled censors, to contemporary icons who faced public trials and career-shattering accusations. These stories reveal a darker side to the glitz and glamour as we move through each star's tale, unraveling everything from sensational trials to cunning comebacks. You might notice a pattern. The higher the celebrity stands in the public eye, the more intense the fall when scandal strikes. So let's step behind the velvet rope and peer into the jail cells, courtrooms, and controversy-laden tabloids that exposed Hollywood's hidden side. The first one is Mae West. She was a trailblazer long before most actresses dared to be bold. In the late 1920s, her stage play, simply titled Sex, sent shockwaves through New York's theater scene. She wrote it, starred in it, and didn't hold back on provocative themes. Audiences came in droves, intrigued by the promise of something new and risque, but the moral watchdogs of the era were outraged. Eventually, the authorities raided the theater, and accusations surfaced that Mae's show was corrupting public morals. The result? She spent time in a workhouse just over a week, only to emerge even more famous than before. Rather than crumble under criticism, she used the incident to shine a bright spotlight on censorship, sparking debates and enthralling the public. Oddly enough, it became the ultimate publicity stunt. The uproar catapulted her from theater provocateur to nationwide celebrity, proving there really is no such thing as bad press, especially in Hollywood. Mae West's story remains an early warning that playing with fire, at least when it comes to pushing boundaries on stage or screen, can lead to a blaze of public scrutiny. Yet she also demonstrated how controversy, when handled with savvy wit, could transform a scandal into a career-defining triumph. But she wasn't the only star from Hollywood's golden years whose brush with the law ignited massive public intrigue. Next, we got Errol Flynn, and underage accusations that shook Tinseltown. In the 1930s and 1940s, Errol Flynn was the epitome of swashbuckling charm. With hits like Captain Blood and The Adventures of Robin Hood, he became the dashing hero audiences adored. Beneath that dashing exterior, though, a storm brewed that would test his fame to the limit. Accusations surfaced involving two underage girls, plunging Flynn into a scandalous trial in early 1943. Suddenly, the headlines were less about his on-screen sword fights and more about whether he might end up behind bars. Lawyers sparred, testimonies sparked debate, and the public tuned in for every salacious detail. Ultimately, the jury found him not guilty, offering a measure of legal vindication. Yet the lingering damage to his reputation was unmistakable. Some fans never looked at their hero the same way, and rumors continued to swirl long after the verdict was announced. Flynn soldiered on, starring in more films and trying to reclaim that carefree image. Still, the incident cast a permanent shadow over his life, illustrating how even Tinseltown's most glittering stars could be pulled into unrelenting scandals, sometimes through accusations they denied, but could never fully escape. The line between beloved star and media spectacle often proves alarmingly thin, as our next case tragically shows. A scandal that wouldn't die. That what people said about Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle, he was once one of Hollywood's brightest comedic talents, known for his broad physical comedy and warm screen presence. Yet in 1921, his career derailed almost overnight when accusations surfaced linking him to the tragic demise of actress Virginia Rapley. The tabloids exploded with wild stories, painting Arbuckle as a monstrous figure behind closed doors. He stood trial 3 separate times, each proceeding capturing national headlines and inflaming public opinion. Though he was ultimately acquitted with an apology from the jury, a rare acknowledgement of innocence that went beyond a simple not guilty verdict, his reputation never truly recovered. Studios pulled his films, once adoring fans turned their backs, and professional opportunities vanished. To keep working at all, he had to hide behind a pseudonym while directing, and even when the industry's ban against him was lifted, that cloud of suspicion never fully lifted. Arbuckle's story stands as a heartbreaking lesson in how quickly Hollywood's door can slam shut, even for a major box office draw. One day, you're a beloved comedian, and the next day, you're a symbol of scandal that people whisper about for generations. And yet, there were those who found a way back onto the silver screen, despite deadly incidents and prison time. Paul Kelly, as ASLso joined the list. Paul Kelly rose to modest fame in films like Flying Tigers and The Roaring Twenties. His life, however, took a dark turn in the 1920s when accusations surfaced that he was involved in a violent confrontation with Ray Raymond, a vaudeville performer. The altercation ended in Raymond's death after he suffered a severe head injury. Kelly was convicted of manslaughter and served time in San Quentin. While prison usually spells the end for many showbiz careers, Kelly managed an extraordinary return to the screen. Even more surprising, after his release, he married Dorothy McKay, the woman at the center of this tragic love triangle and the widow of the man he was convicted of killing. Far from exiled, Kelly steadily rebuilt his acting reputation, eventually securing notable roles on stage and in film. He even garnered a Tony Award, underscoring how second chances could exist even in an industry notorious for turning its back on scandal-tarnished names. His story epitomizes the interplay of personal turmoil and professional resilience. Sometimes the same sensational events that might destroy a person's career can also create a mystique that fascinates the public, leading to renewed success. But that doesn't come without a heavy moral toll. Of course, some stars carried a bad boy image from their youth right into Hollywood. We also got Rory Calhoun, from juvenile delinquency to big screen tough guy. Before becoming the rugged leading man audiences knew from westerns and adventure flicks, Rory Calhoun, born Francis Timothy McCown, was already at odds with the law. By the time he was in his early teens, he had run away from a youth reformatory, stolen a revolver, and gone on to commit a series of jewelry store heists. Crossing state lines in a stolen vehicle sealed his fate, leading to a significant prison sentence. You'd think that would end any shot at a legitimate career, but life has a way of offering odd twists. Once he was out on parole, he worked various odd jobs before stumbling into Hollywood. Instead of hiding his criminal past, Calhoun found that the revelation added an edgy dimension to his persona. Fans embraced him as the real deal, a genuine tough guy who brought authentic grit to the screen. Strangely enough, that criminal background became part of the marketing angle that propelled his acting ambitions forward. Calhoun's story demonstrates how an individual can pivot an infamous backstory into a form of brand identity. Audiences love a rogue, especially one whose personal life seems tailor-made for the roles he portrayed. Yet, he wasn't the only star whose off-screen exploits mirrored the rebellious figures he played. Next, Robert Mitchum, the unstoppable anti-hero. Robert Mitchum became legendary for his brooding, world-weary performances in film noir classics like Out of the Past and Night of the Hunter. Away from the cameras, he was no stranger to brushes with the law. Accusations surfaced during his teenage years when he roamed the country during the Great Depression. He was briefly locked up for vagrancy in Savannah, Georgia, and spent time on a chain gang before escaping. In 1948, Mitchum's rebellious image nearly became his downfall when he faced a high-profile bust for possessing a banned substance at a party in Los Angeles. Despite pleading no contest and serving part of his 60-day sentence in a county facility, Mitchum came out of the ordeal with his career surprisingly intact. If anything, the incident only seemed to amplify his mystique as Hollywood's quintessential bad boy. Producers knew the public was drawn to that aura of danger, so Mitchum kept landing major roles, essentially turning real-life scandal into a badge of authenticity for his tough guy performances. He emerged as one of the rare figures able to navigate notoriety while maintaining mainstream success. Mitchum showed that in certain cases, the public's fascination with a star's personal life can overshadow any moral qualms about their off-screen actions. And then there were actors whose real-world toughness extended far beyond a single skirmish. How about Mr. Leo Gordon, a convict-turned-convincing villain, towering at 6 feet 2 inches with a naturally menacing look? Leo Gordon was tailor-made for the antagonistic roles he played, but his fearsome on-screen persona had roots in actual criminal behavior. Accusations surfaced that he and an associate tried to rob a bar at gunpoint. The arrest ended violently, with Gordon wounded in the stomach by officers. He received 5 years in San Quentin for armed robbery. In prison, Gordon immersed himself in books, expanding his education and preparing for a future on the outside. Once released, he drifted into acting, eventually securing roles in films where he often portrayed the heavy or the menacing outlaw, parts he played all too convincingly. Legend has it that while filming Riot in Cell Block 11, Gordon insisted on performing prison scenes the correct way, telling the director that he knew exactly what happens when someone gets shot because he'd experienced it himself. Gordon's gritty authenticity gave him a robust career in both film and TV, spanning decades. His story reveals how a real-life criminal past can be repurposed into a unique selling point, especially in an industry hungry for actors who can bring genuine edge to the screen. But not all scandal-laden stories lean on a tough guy image. Sometimes they hinge on legal twists and personal battles. Another one on the list is Nick Nolte. From counterfeit draft cards to celebrated actor, Nick Nolte's gravelly voice and rugged features became iconic through roles in major dramas and comedic hits. Yet his younger days were marked by accusations that surfaced around 1961, involving counterfeit draft cards. He was convicted, slapped with a massive fine, and given a suspended sentence that meant he did not actually serve time. The felony, however, disqualified him from military service, a regret that lingered during the Vietnam era. Fast forward to 2002, and Nolte once again found himself facing legal trouble after being pulled over on suspicion of driving under the influence. Tests indicated he had a psychoactive substance in his system, leading to another round of humiliating headlines. Nolte checked himself into a treatment facility, pleaded no contest to the charges, and received 3 years probation. Despite the public fiasco, complete with an infamous mugshot, he persevered in his career, continuing to land roles and earning praise for his performances. Nolte's journey reminds us how a star can be caught in a whirlwind of legal issues, yet remain a beloved figure in Hollywood. His willingness to be candid about substance struggles may have resonated with fans who appreciate honesty, even when it reveals troubling behavior. However, for certain stars, a single arrest derailed them completely. One beautiful lady joined the list is Lila Leeds. When a scandal overshadows everything, Lila Leeds was once seen as a Lana Turner lookalike with potential for a big Hollywood future. Then accusations surfaced, linking her to a raid with Robert Mitchum, where both were found with a prohibited substance. Mitchum's career famously rebounded, but Leeds wasn't so lucky. After serving 60 days in jail, she faced the kind of industry blacklist that so often followed high-profile scandals. Desperate to salvage her name, she starred in an exploitation film titled She Shoulda Said No, aiming to warn others about the dangers of misusing substances. Unfortunately, the project did little to jumpstart her career. Unable to find substantial roles and under the weight of the negative publicity, Leeds faded from Hollywood. Eventually, she left town, bouncing between the Midwest and other areas, taking odd jobs and briefly trying to restart her personal life through marriages that didn't last. Leeds' story highlights the industry's fickle nature. Two actors involved in essentially the same case experience drastically different outcomes. For her, the scandal became an inescapable label, showing just how unforgiving Hollywood can be when it decides someone's career is over. Some actors, on the other hand, destroyed their reputations repeatedly with public brawls and arrests. Next, we got Lawrence Tierney, gangster on and off the screen. Lawrence Tierney became famous for playing tough guys, gangsters, and stone-faced outlaws, most notably as the notorious John Dillinger in Dillinger, 1945. But art imitated life a bit too closely. Between 1944 and 1951, accusations surfaced against Tierney over a series of public disturbances, bar brawls, and drunk and disorderly incidents. He wound up behind bars multiple times, each stint further tarnishing his name among studio executives. In 1951, a brawl in New York led to him breaking someone's jaw. That triggered a 90-day jail sentence, fueling rumors that no set was safe from his unpredictable behavior. Over time, many filmmakers deemed him too big a risk, fearing that his real-life volatility would spill into production. While Tierney continued picking up smaller roles in later decades, famously appearing in Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs, and even a cameo on Seinfeld, his reputation for violence and aggression persisted. Stories abound of him clashing with co-stars or production teams, reinforcing that real trouble can follow an actor whether the cameras are rolling or not. Tierney's saga underscores the thin line between captivating menace in front of the camera and destructive chaos behind it. Even so, he never vanished from Hollywood entirely, a testament to the industry's odd willingness to gamble on a known rabble-rouser if the part demanded it. Meanwhile, some stars would face arrests that ranged from the bizarre to the tragic. We can't forget David Carradine. Iconic roles and strange run-ins. David Carradine soared to fame in the 1970s with his portrayal of Kwai Chang Caine in the TV series Kung Fu. Despite his serene martial arts persona on screen, real life was far less placid. Accusations surfaced multiple times. In 1974, he wandered nude through his neighborhood under the influence of peyote, which led to charges that were ultimately reduced. A few years later, while filming abroad, he was ensnared in a substance-related incident he believed was orchestrated by local authorities. His struggles with alcohol and other substances continued through the 1980s, culminating in several arrests for driving under the influence. Yet Carradine's career soldiered on. He remained a sought-after actor, accumulating over 100 film and TV credits. By the early 2000s, he found renewed fame playing Bill in Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill saga. Fans marveled at the longevity of a star whose off-screen dramas might have permanently derailed others. Carradine's life reveals how an actor can juggle multiple arrests, tabloid headlines, and personal demons while still maintaining a foothold in Hollywood. Sometimes, a unique talent or unforgettable role can eclipse even the most bizarre missteps. But Hollywood isn't just about actors. Some creative minds left equally controversial legacies. Here we go. William S. Burroughs, a Beat Generation icon at the fringes of Hollywood. William S. Burroughs wasn't a standard movie star, but he loomed large in the cultural scene, influencing writers, artists, and even filmmakers. Known for his groundbreaking novel Naked Lunch, he lived a life steeped in controversy and counterculture. Accusations surfaced periodically over drug possession. But the darkest moment came in 1951, when he accidentally shot and killed his partner, Joan Vollmer, during what was described as a misguided attempt at a William Tell stunt. Though he faced legal jeopardy in Mexico, where the incident occurred, Burroughs eventually dodged a long prison term. Nonetheless, the tragedy haunted him, shaping his literary voice into something bleak and urgent. Over time, his daring style influenced generations of artists, from Andy Warhol to modern-day directors. While Burroughs never fully joined Hollywood's ranks, the film world frequently sought his rebellious spirit, adapting or drawing inspiration from his avant-garde works. His life stands as a stark reminder that scandal doesn't only belong to Hollywood actors. Writers, too, can become entangled in real-life incidents that transform their art and their legacies. Shifting back to Hollywood proper, we encounter one of the most explosive modern cases of stardom turned sour. Bill Cosby would not miss the list, from America's dad to prisoner. For decades, Bill Cosby reigned as a beloved father figure in American entertainment, thanks to a family-friendly comedy style and his seminal TV series, The Cosby Show. Then, in 2018, accusations surfaced and culminated in his conviction for wrongdoing against Andrea Constant, resulting in a 3 to 10-year prison sentence. It was a stunning reversal of fortune for a once iconic figure who'd earned widespread adoration and respect. He began serving time, but in a dramatic twist, higher courts later overturned his conviction, citing a previously unacknowledged agreement with a former prosecutor. Cosby walked free after nearly 3 years, sparking renewed debate about legal technicalities, power, and justice. While his initial sentencing represented a milestone in calls for accountability in the industry, the reversal cast doubts on the system's consistency and left many questions hanging in the public discourse. Cosby's case underscores how high the stakes can be when revered celebrities face serious allegations. Even a carefully crafted public image can crumble overnight if those accusations prove credible. And in today's interconnected world, the discussion around his release and the implications for future legal battles remains intensely polarizing. Some celebrities skirted legal consequences with immense wealth and influence, as our next figure illustrates. Next, we got Howard Hughes, an aviator's brush with the law. Howard Hughes stood apart from the typical Hollywood mogul. He was an aviation pioneer, a daring film producer, and among the richest men of his era. Yet money and fame didn't shield him from a deadly controversy in 1936, when accusations surfaced following a car accident that led to a pedestrian's death. Hughes claimed he swerved to avoid another vehicle, causing the fatal collision. Though briefly detained by police, Hughes faced no long-term legal repercussions, thanks in part to a formidable legal defense and his towering influence. Publicly, the incident was labeled an unfortunate accident, overshadowed by his other exploits, record-breaking flights, groundbreaking films, and later, his bizarre reclusiveness. But behind that veil of success lay a cautionary tale about privilege. For many, such a tragedy would result in jail. But Hughes walked away with minimal consequences. Whether it was his money, power, or simply how the legal system worked at the time, Hughes continued to make a permanent mark on aviation and filmmaking. His life remains a testament to the tension between public adoration for genius and the moral complexities that linger when wealth seems to buy freedom from accountability. Of course, no celebrity criminal list is complete without the infamous figure whose name still conjures dread. Next celebrity is Charles Manson, the cult leader with Hollywood ties. Charles Manson never achieved traditional Hollywood stardom, but he certainly left an imprint on its history. He hovered around the fringes of the music and entertainment scene in the late 1960s, forging short-lived connections with industry insiders. Then came 1969, when accusations surfaced that he orchestrated horrifying acts committed by his devoted followers, known as the Manson family. The tragic events included the brutal demise of actress Sharon Tate and several others, sending shockwaves through Los Angeles and beyond. Manson did not personally carry out these acts, but was found responsible for directing them, leading to a conviction for conspiracy to commit multiple atrocities. Originally sentenced to death, he ended up serving life imprisonment after California halted capital punishment for a time. Manson's infamy overshadowed any fleeting ambitions he had for the entertainment world. Instead, he became a macabre symbol of cult manipulation and violent rebellion against societal norms. His name remains synonymous with an era of broken innocence in Hollywood, reminding everyone that beneath the glitter can lie very real danger. Manson's saga stands among the darkest chapters, but modern times have also seen their share of sensational trials. Last but not least is O.J. Simpson, the trial of the century. O.J. Simpson was a sports hero long before dabbling in film roles like the Naked Gun series. Charismatic, celebrated, and well-known, he embodied a classic American success story. That all changed in 1994 when accusations surfaced tying him to the tragic demise of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend Ronald Goldman. The subsequent trial, broadcast live, effectively paused the nation as every twist was dissected in endless news coverage. Though the jury acquitted him in the criminal case of 1995, a later civil suit found him financially liable. Public opinions remained fiercely divided, a rift that persists. Then, in 2007, Simpson got caught up in a separate incident involving sports memorabilia in Las Vegas, leading to an armed confrontation. This time, he was convicted and served 9 years behind bars before his release in 2017. Simpson's arc, from NFL legend to defendant in what was called the trial of the century, encapsulates the complexities of celebrity, race, justice, and media spectacle. His life remains a testament to how swiftly public adoration can turn into a national obsession with guilt, innocence, and the flawed mechanics of legal proceedings. To sum it up, from Mae West's cunning use of moral outrage to Errol Flynn's scandalous entanglements, from Bill Cosby's shocking fall from grace to O.J. Simpson's headline-dominating courtroom drama. These stories serve as compelling reminders that fame doesn't grant immunity from consequence. In many cases, it magnifies every misstep. The allure of Hollywood has always been about transformation. Unknown talents become household names. Everyday struggles morph into epic tales. But that same industry can mercilessly pivot when its idols stumble. As we've seen, some found redemption using scandal as strange fuel for publicity, while others watched their careers evaporate overnight, haunted by permanent stigma. So the next time you catch yourself envying the glamorous lives of celebrities, remember that the limelight can cast long shadows. Behind every glittery premiere or best-selling blockbuster may lurk private turmoil, hidden controversies, or a single moment that changes a star's destiny forever. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. And if you love exploring Hollywood's hidden underbelly, go ahead and subscribe. You won't want to miss what we uncover next. Thank you for taking this journey through the darker corridors of Tinseltown, where legends rise and fall in the blink of a camera flash. Stay curious, stay questioning, and remember that even the brightest stars sometimes pay a steep price for life in the spotlight. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the glimmering yet turbulent realm of Golden Age Hollywood. If you found these untold stories fascinating, hit the follow button. Stay curious, keep asking questions, and let me know which other hidden chapters of pop culture you'd like to see next. Remember, the stories behind the lights and cameras are often more complex and more revealing than any scripted role could ever be.